In popular culture, particularly through the lens of Hollywood, we've been conditioned to associate disrespect with loud, dramatic responses, intense shouting matches, sudden physical confrontations, or theatrical displays of dominance that demand attention. These scenes make for thrilling entertainment, capturing the audience with raw emotion and explosive energy. However, they often paint a distorted picture of how people, especially certain types of men, actually navigate conflict in real life. The Sigma male, in particular, is a striking contrast to these cinematic stereotypes. Unlike the alpha male, who seeks to assert dominance through control and visibility, or the beta male, who often yields to pressure or avoids confrontation altogether, the Sigma male operates on a unique psychological plane. He exists entirely outside the traditional social hierarchy, detached from a need for validation or approval. He is not compelled to react within the expected spectrum of male behavior. When faced with disrespect, he doesn't explode in anger or retreat into submission. Instead, he chooses a third path, one rooted in restraint, precision, and long-term impact. What makes the Sigma male's response so powerful is its quiet intensity. There are no raised voices or performative acts, no need for a public display to reclaim dignity. His reaction unfolds in a subtle, calculated manner, so understated that at first it might not even be noticed, but behind that silence is a mind working with cold clarity, planning a course of action that is far more effective than any impulsive outburst could ever be. By the time others realize the extent of his response, the consequences have already taken root, irreversible and often game-changing. This is where the Sigma male's strength truly lies. Society often measures masculinity by visible force, by the ability to react boldly and loudly to disrespect. But the Sigma male challenges this notion not out of fear or weakness, but because he understands a deeper truth, that real power doesn't seek the spotlight. It moves quietly, patiently, and when it strikes, it does so with precision and finality. This is a Sigma male's way of handling disrespect, not through noise, but through silence that speaks volumes. It's a method that unnerves, disorients, and ultimately commands a level of respect that can't be demanded, only earned. 1. The nuclear weapon of silence. Silence, often overlooked and underestimated, is one of the most potent psychological tools in the Sigma male's arsenal. In a world where people equate verbal reaction with strength and consider emotional outbursts as proof of conviction, silence becomes an anomaly, one that unsettles and disorients. Most individuals instinctively interpret silence as weakness. When someone doesn't respond to an insult, a provocation, or blatant disrespect, the immediate assumption is that they are afraid, unsure of themselves, or simply incapable of defending their dignity. But this assumption is a critical miscalculation when the target is a Sigma male. When disrespected, the Sigma male doesn't fall into the expected behavioral trap. He doesn't retaliate with shouting, justifications, or emotional appeals. He doesn't attempt to explain himself or try to reclaim his honor through words. Instead, he uses a weapon far more unsettling, complete and composed silence. This isn't the kind of silence laced with suppressed rage or passive-aggressive tension. It's the poised, deliberate quiet of someone who has already won the battle without lifting a finger. Within that silence, an intricate psychological shift occurs. The moment stretches. The insult or act of disrespect lingers in the open air, stark and undisturbed. There's no reaction to buffer it, no argument to distract from it, so the true weight and intent behind the words are felt more acutely by everyone present. The focus, which the aggressor hoped to place on the Sigma male, reverses course. Suddenly, all eyes are on the one who disrespected. Their words, meant to provoke or humiliate, now stand alone and exposed, amplifying their own malice, pettiness, or insecurity. This shift is intentional. The Sigma male silence redirects the spotlight onto the instigator, forcing observers to reevaluate who really holds the power in the situation. The one who speaks in anger or desperation appears vulnerable, desperate for reaction, while the one who remains silent seems unshaken and unreadable. That unreadability is terrifying, because in silence, the Sigma male becomes an enigma. His thoughts are concealed, his next move unpredictable. The brilliance of this tactic lies in its inversion of expected outcomes. The aggressor, who initiated the conflict in hopes of gaining dominance, instead becomes a one scrutinized, questioned, and exposed. They wanted drama, a scene, perhaps even a verbal sparring match to showcase their power. What they receive is a void, a lack of reaction, so profound it becomes its own kind of judgment. Worse, the silence becomes a mirror, forcing them to confront their own behavior without distraction. To the Sigma male, this silence is not just a response. It is a test. He watches carefully. Does the disrespectful person retreat, double down, or search for allies to justify their actions? Do they become uncomfortable, apologetic, or defensive? Every nuance of their behavior in the aftermath of silence provides a Sigma with insights into their character, their intentions, and their emotional control or lack thereof. By saying nothing, the Sigma male speaks volumes. His refusal to engage is not a sign of indifference, but a declaration of dominance. He maintains complete control of the situation, unbothered and unmoved. He knows that true power doesn't need to shout. It only needs to be understood. And in the face of silence, everyone listens, even if they don't understand why. 2. The vanishing act. Why Sigma males don't argue descriptive expansion. In a world where verbal conflict is often seen as a means of asserting dominance or establishing truth, the Sigma male stands apart with a radically different approach. While most people are driven by an innate urge to win arguments, to have the final say, claim the moral high ground, and validate their perspectives, the Sigma male sees this tendency for what it truly is, a psychological trap. He understands that arguing with someone who disrespects him is an exercise in futility. Such confrontations do not lead to resolution or understanding. Instead, they feed the other person's ego, reinforce toxic dynamics, and entangle him in emotional chaos he has no desire to entertain. Rather than engaging in this draining and often pointless battle of words, the Sigma male employs a far more effective strategy. He disappears. This vanishing act is not a theatrical gesture. There are no angry outbursts, no slamming of doors, and no grand declarations. It is a quiet, calculated retreat. The Sigma simply withdraws, sometimes physically, sometimes emotionally, and often both. He detaches himself from the situation with surgical precision, leaving no opportunity for further escalation. His absence is not accidental. It is strategic. The co-worker who tried to undermine him at work finds himself slowly cut off from important conversations and key decisions. The so-called friend who once betrayed his trust notices the invites stop coming. The texts go unanswered, and the connection quietly dissolve. A family member who crossed a line in public is met not with confrontation, but with a cold civility that makes it clear they are no longer welcome in his inner world. This quiet withdrawal is far more devastating than any argument could ever be. The person who sought to provoke him is left powerless, disarmed by the Sigma's refusal to engage. Without the opportunity to argue or even elicit a reaction, they are denied the closure or satisfaction they crave. Instead, they are left alone with their own actions, forced to reflect, question, and wonder. Did I go too far? Did he even care? Why didn't he respond? By the time the aggressor realizes what's happened, the damage is done. The door they once pushed against is silently closed, and the Sigma has already walked through another, redirecting his time, energy, and attention toward those who respect and value him. In his world, silence is not surrender, it's sovereignty. 3. Distance as a weapon, the art of psychological detachment, descriptive expansion. In a world where emotional intensity is often mistaken for strength, the Sigma male quietly masters a different kind of power, one rooted not in confrontation but in controlled detachment. He understands a crucial psychological truth. Most conflicts are fueled by closeness. Heated arguments erupt in tight spaces, voices rise when people stand face to face, and chaos thrives when emotional reactions are expected on demand. But the Sigma male refuses to play by these rules. When met with disrespect or toxicity, he doesn't charge forward to meet the energy. He withdraws, not as an act of surrender, but as a calculated repositioning. He steps back, far enough to create space, not just physical space, but emotional and mental space as well. This distance serves a powerful purpose. It becomes a mirror that reflects the true nature of the other person. From afar, the Sigma watches silently, observing without involvement. How does the other person respond to his absence? Do they chase him in desperation, expose their insecurity by speaking ill of him to others, or pretend nothing ever happened, masking guilt with indifference? Their response says more than words ever could. Without the Sigma's presence to interact with, their actions become unfiltered, revealing character traits that were previously hidden behind charm, manipulation, or pretense. At the same time, this self-imposed distance insulates the Sigma from the emotional turbulence the other person may try to unleash. While they may spiral, obsess, or gossip, he remains unaffected, going about his life with calm intention. He does not dwell, retaliate, or seek validation. He simply removes himself from the storm, refusing to be pulled into someone else's chaos. And in doing so, he maintains his peace, his power, and his clarity. But make no mistake, this detachment is not a pause. It is not a timeout. For the Sigma male, distance is not temporary. It is final. Once he has witnessed someone's true colors, there is no going back. He does not believe in forgive and forget when trust has been broken or respect has been lost. Instead, he recalibrates that person's position in his life. At best, they are moved to the outskirts of his world. More often, they are cut out entirely, without fanfare, without warning, and without regret. Through this strategic silence and removal, the Sigma sends an unmistakable message. Access to him is a privilege, not a right. And once it is revoked, there is no open door waiting. His distance is not a passive absence. It is a powerful statement of self-worth. For removing access, not ego, the quiet revocation of privileges, descriptive expansion. In a society where retaliation often takes the form of loud public acts, where bruised egos seek retribution through shaming, insults, or dramatic confrontations, the Sigma male operates on a completely different frequency. He does not believe in punishment for its own sake. To him, punishment is reactive and emotional. It stems from a desire to hurt, humiliate, or seek revenge. But the Sigma male does not lower himself to that level. Instead, he lets consequences unfold naturally, not as a display of dominance, but as a quiet enforcement of personal standards. When someone disrespects him, he does not lash out or demand apologies. There is no theatrical scene or war of words. Instead, something far more subtle and far more effective begins to happen. The Sigma male starts to withdraw the privileges that came with knowing him. These privileges might have once seemed like constants, access to his insights, support, influence, and social network. But suddenly, almost imperceptibly, they are no longer available. The disrespectful individual may still maintain their public image, their reputation intact. They may even believe the Sigma male has simply grown distant or busy. Yet, beneath that calm exterior, a quiet revocation has taken place. The advice that once came freely no longer arrives. Invitations to keep gathering stop. The professional or social connections he once facilitated dry up without explanation. His presence, once a source of strength or inspiration, is noticeably missing. This quiet withdrawal is devastating precisely because it offers no opportunity for confrontation. There is nothing to argue against, no accusation to rebut. The Sigma male makes no announcements, no dramatic declarations. He simply removes himself from the value he once brought, leaving the other person to face the void that remains. It is a consequence, not a punishment, a silent shift that speaks volumes. What makes this approach so impactful is that it targets what the other person truly valued, whether they realize it or not. If they once benefited from his support, wisdom, or connections, they quickly feel the weight of that loss. But they are left in the dark, unable to fully understand what changed, only that their world feels slightly colder, less supported, and subtly more difficult. The Sigma does not seek validation or applause for this move. He does not explain himself, nor does he invite conversation. He acts decisively and without emotion, letting the absence of his influence be the final, unmistakable message. In doing so, he reclaims control, not by feeding his ego, but by honoring his self-respect. 5. Responding with standards, not emotion, descriptive expansion. In emotionally charged situations, the natural instinct for most people is to fight fire with fire. When disrespected or provoked, they mirror the aggression, raising their voice, plotting revenge, or matching the toxic energy thrown their way. It's a reactive cycle that often spirals into chaos, where dignity is lost and egos clash in an effort to win. But the Sigma male breaks this pattern with quiet but formidable discipline. He does not let the behavior of others dictate his response. Instead of reacting emotionally, he responds with unwavering standards anchored in self-respect and personal principles. For the Sigma, integrity is non-negotiable. He does not maintain it to prove moral superiority or to win admiration. He upholds it because it defines who he is, regardless of how others choose to behave. If someone shouts at him, he remains composed. If they scheme, he stays direct and honest. His actions are not shaped by external chaos, but governed by an internal code that does not waver under pressure. This ability to remain calm, measured, and principled creates what is known as a contrast effect, where his behavior throws the other person's immaturity or hostility into stark relief. In a room full of shouting voices, the one who stays calm instantly commands attention. The Sigma's quiet, composed demeanor becomes louder than the noise. Without saying a single condemning word, he exposes the pettiness of others simply by refusing to descend to their level. He becomes a mirror in which their bad behavior reflects more clearly than any accusation could achieve. Observers are left with a powerful impression, not just of his restraint, but of his strength. This approach carries profound psychological weight. While others scramble to defend their egos or manipulate perceptions, the Sigma stands untouched. He doesn't waste energy trying to look right. He simply is right, by remaining true to his standards. And in doing so, he maintains his dignity, preserves his self-worth, and elevates himself above the fray. Ultimately, the Sigma male's greatest power lies in his refusal to engage in petty battles. He does not seek to win confrontations because he understands that true power doesn't come from defeating others. It comes from not needing to fight them at all. His calm indifference, rooted in deep self-assurance, is the ultimate power move, a silent declaration that he is above the game entirely. Conclusion: the unseen dominance of the Sigma male, descriptive expansion. The Sigma male's approach to disrespect is not driven by ego, emotion, or the desire for quick revenge. It is a far more deliberate, calculated, and powerful response, one that prioritizes psychological positioning over momentary victories. While others are caught in the heat of the moment, seeking validation through arguments or confrontations, the Sigma male plays the long game. His strength lies not in overt displays of power, but in subtle maneuvers that reshape the dynamics around him without ever needing to raise his voice. When faced with disrespect, he does not rush to defend himself or engage in a spectacle. Instead, he lets silence do the work. In that silence, others reveal their true nature. Their insecurities surface, their manipulations unravel, and their intentions become transparent. Without needing to accuse or confront, the Sigma allows them to expose themselves. He disappears, not as an act of cowardice, but as a masterful withdrawal from a battle unworthy of his energy. By removing himself, he denies his adversaries the reaction they crave, leaving them alone in the chaos they created. This vanishing act is not absence, it is precision. It removes emotional clutter and creates clarity. Distance becomes his lens. From afar, he sees the truth more clearly. The people who chase him, slander him, or feign indifference are unwittingly revealing their dependency on his presence. And as they scramble for control or closure, the Sigma remains calm, detached, and unaffected. He doesn't retaliate with drama. He simply removes access. This is not punishment. It is the enforcement of personal boundaries. His time, energy, wisdom, and support are privileges, not entitlements. And when someone disrespects those boundaries, the quiet revocation of access is both consequence and closure. Throughout it all, he responds not with emotion, but with unwavering standards. While others lash out or stoop to low behavior, the Sigma maintains his composure. His restraint becomes a powerful contrast, shining a light on the immaturity and chaos of those who sought to provoke him. This is the art of psychological warfare, as only the Sigma male can wage it. His moves are invisible, his strategy subtle, and his impact undeniable. By the time the person who disrespected him realizes what has happened, they are already on the outside looking in. The Sigma male has long since moved on, untouched, unbothered, and unmistakably in control. This is not just how he handles disrespect. It's how he redefines dominance. Do you resonate with the ideas I shared in this video? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in more content about Sigma males, explore the other videos on this channel. Thanks for watching.